Today, Christianity is the most persecuted religious group in the world. According to different organizations, there are more than 300 million followers of Christ in the world who are either discriminated because they are Christian or who are targeted by terrorist organizations or regimes, oppressive regimes, because they give testimony to the name of Jesus Christ.
Christian persecution is on the rise. The 2024 Annual Report on International Religious Freedom was recently published by the U.S. government in May, highlighting the need for governments around the world to take the lead in ensuring religious freedom. The report assesses global religious freedom conditions and makes recommendations to the U.S. government. USCIRF identified 17 countries for severe religious freedom violations, with 12 already on the State Department's list. New recommendations include Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, India, Nigeria, and Vietnam. Hungary, a Central European country, places a strong priority on aiding Christians suffering from persecution. Tristan Azbej, the State Secretary for Aid to Persecuted Christians, holds a unique role on the Old Continent. EWTN Vatican Bureau Chief Andreas Thonhauser sat down with him to discuss the situation of persecuted Christians around the world.
I hold a very unique title in the Hungarian government. My title is State Secretary for the Aid of Persecuted Christians. Hungary has a Christian democratic government, and we are one of the very few remaining European nations who are proud about our Christian cultural heritage and about our Christian faith. So it only came natural that we started to recognize the extent and severity of Christian persecution in the world. The program was started when we have witnessed the atrocities. It should be the moral obligation not only of Christian nations but the rest of the world to support that faith group that is the most persecuted today. This is why the Hungarian government in 2016 set up the first ever governmental unit dedicated to the aid of persecuted Christians.
So Christians are the most persecuted religious group in the world. It's a fact that is not widely known. You've been working on this issue now since 2016. Can you tell us a little bit more, how has the situation developed? Has it become worse, or is it actually improving?
Unfortunately, the extent of anti-Christian persecution is increasing. It is changing and shifting in nature and geographical locations. When we started to work more than 6 years ago, ISIS was still active, and we had to provide life-saving humanitarian fast relief to Christian and Yazidi, another ethno-religious group that was victimized by ISIS. Since then, ISIS in the Middle East as a caliphate has collapsed, but the number of Christians have been decimated. There are even more than that. It has shrunk to a very small proportion in the Middle East. For example, in Iraq, there were 1.5 million Christians only 2 decades ago. Now this number is around 200,000, so it's an 80% loss. What we are doing now in the Middle East is supporting the institutions, the social, the healthcare and education institutions of the small remaining congregations, not only to save Christianity in the wider Holy Land, but also knowing that these Christian institutions are also benefiting the non-Christian population, the Muslims. So by supporting the Christian churches in the Middle East, we also support other suffering people living along with the Christians. At the same time, the hotspot for violent Christian persecution shifted to the African continent, to the Sub-Saharan African region. What we witness today in northern Nigeria is almost the same type of bloodshed and anti-Christian aggression that was witnessed in Iraq and Syria in 2014 and the following years.
Can you share a little bit what is happening in northern Nigeria, especially? I believe Boko Haram and the Fulani herdsmen are the main actors there.
It has been surveyed that last year around 5,000 Christians were murdered because of their faith around the world. These are the registered cases. It's probably the tip of the iceberg, but out of that 5,000, about 90% were Nigerian Christians. So it is a mass atrocity amounting up almost to the genocidal level. And it is right because of different type of social conflicts. Anti-Christian jihadism, Islamist extremism is on the rise, creating terrible murder groups, terrorist groups like Boko Haram. The Islamic State terrorist organization also is present in Western Africa. And there are other Fulani extremist jihadists who systematically murder Christians. Just one example, last Christmas, in the course of 2 days, around 300 Christians were murdered by Fulani extremists in Nigeria. So this is what we focus on. I can report proudly so that through the Hungary Helps program and through Christian faith-based humanitarian engagements, we have directly reached more than 2 million suffering people in the world.
And what brings you to Rome?
I came here for 2 reasons, to meet high-ranking officials of the Holy See and also of the Italian government. With the Holy See and with the Catholic Church, we have been cooperating ever since we have started our mission for persecuted Christians. It only comes natural. Our program and our approach is ecumenical. We work for the persecuted Catholics, Orthodox and Protestants.
Mr. Azbej, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for this interview.
Thanks for the opportunity.